Hello everybody and a very warm welcome to Estoril, the second round of the 2017 International GTOpen season. This is the first race weekend of the year, and after yesterday's thriller, the season has got off to a great start as we begin our grand tour of some fantastic tracks. So it's hello from Ben Evans here in the commentary box in Estoril, and you join us on a very breezy day. We've just had a very heavy shower which has fallen between the end of the Euro Formula Open race that finished about 10 minutes ago and the pit lane opening for this 60-minute International GT Open race. And so this a little bit of a voyage into the unknown for the drivers as they find where the grip is. Well, there is the man who found plenty of grip in qualifying earlier on this morning, the Garage 59 McLaren of Duncan Tappy and Michael Benham, which will line up in pole position. Of course, Tappy and Benham scoring victory in this exact race 12 months ago. And Tappy from pole position will be hoping to convert for another victory. Yesterday, it was the Emil Frey Racing Lexus of Philip Frommenweiler and Albert Costa that took the win after a great scrap late on involving the Balfe Motorsport McLaren of Sean Balfe and the other Garage 59 McLaren of Alex West. There is the Spirit of Race Ferrari 488 of Mikel Mack and Miguel Ramos. They set the pace in free practice on Friday, and Mack was right at the sharp end of qualifying earlier on this morning. But what happened over the 30-minute session was the track got drier and drier, and a couple of drivers, Mack included, losing the opportunity to get a clear lap late on when the circuit conditions were at their very best. The same going actually for yesterday's runner-up Sean Balfe, who'll line up in 18th place, and Alex West, who completed the podium yesterday alongside Com Ledegar, who will start in 21st position. Starting 5th place is going to be this car, the Imperiale Racing Lamborghini Huracan of reigning champion Thomas Biaggi. And 5th is where Biaggi finished yesterday. He took the crown last year, in part due to a metronomic level of consistency, and certainly Giovanni Ventrini and Thomas Biaggi well set for today's race. Another car to watch for is this Mercedes of Marcello Hahn and Alain Coder, the Drivex Mercedes. Coder, who will take over mid-race, was very impressive running at the front end of the field yesterday, but his compatriot Hahn means starts 19th, so the Brazilian has got a fair amount of work to do. Duncan Tappy trying to pick his way through to the front of the grid, but huge entry this weekend, 22 cars, massive strength in depth, and field very, very tightly bunched in qualifying. The top 14 cars all covered by under 2 seconds, and it really was a little bit of a shootout later on in the session. So Tappy starts from pole. Alongside him on the front row of the grid is going to be the second Lexus in the race. That is the Farnbacher Lexus of Dominic and Mario Farnbacher, and it was Dominic Farnbacher who was out in qualifying this morning. Row 2 of the grid, we've got the Triple F Racing Lamborghini Huracan of Hiroshi Hamaguchi and Vitantonio Liuzzi. And it was the Brazilian, or rather Japanese, Hamaguchi who set the time. And then very impressive 4th on the grid for the Jordan Racing Bentley of Michael Meadows and Jordan Witt, and it's Meadows who'll be taking to the start. So the field starting to all form up on the grid, just over 10 minutes away from the start of the race. And again, changeable conditions forecast. Just looking out of the commentary box window, it's currently dry at the moment, albeit very breezy, but then there are some pretty heavy clouds rolling in from the coast.
The track is now closed, 5 minutes to the start.
So we could see some variable conditions of the race unfolding. So Duncan Tappy, there is his co-driver, Mike Benham. And Tappy fully focused on the job ahead, the wheel of the Garage 59 McLaren. Always seem to be able to get into the right place at the right time in qualifying. Dominic Farnbacher then, in the Farnbacher Racing Lexus. And without wishing to go all Alan Partridge, both Lexi going very well this weekend in the hands of the Farnbacher Racing and ML3 Racing squads. Hiroshi Hamaguchi tucked into the cockpit of the Triple F Racing. I mean, Huracan there is the XF1 racer, Vitantonio Liuzzi, just proffering some last-minute advice, getting a little bit of a debrief as well as to what the track conditions are doing. The Jordan Racing Bentley, Michael Meadows and Jordan Witt. Peeking to the cockpit of Michael Meadows, gearing up for the race ahead. You can see the nervous energy that he's expending. Thomas Biaggi, two-time World GT champion, reigning international GTOpen champion again. Focused on the job ahead. Time to give us a quick thumbs up. And then this is a car whose progress is going to be absolutely fascinating. Antonio Felix da Costa in the Teo Martin Motorsport BMW. Da Costa alongside Lourenco Beirao de Viega this weekend. Unlucky not to be further up the grid as he was one of the pace setters through qualifying, but again, didn't get a clear track when the circuit was its best late on in qualifying. But da Costa is one of the very, very best in the business. Really impressive in qualifying for the Sports and New Mercedes. Agnono Figueiredo, the Brazilian driver alongside Marcio Basso, winners in the GTAM class in yesterday's race. And Figueiredo qualifying an excellent 7th overall. This then is Philip Frommenweiler, who won yesterday's race alongside Albert Costa. The Emil Frey Racing Lexus, of course, has that 15-second success handicap in the pits, and that means that Frommenweiler and Costa just got to push as hard as they can. The Solaris team have had a very busy winter rebuilding the car after winter testing, but Francesco Cini rewarding them somewhat in qualifying earlier on. He lines up in 9th place, but again, the pace that he was demonstrating showed he could have gone a little bit higher. Here's the grid in full. And watch for some of the cars lower down as they make progress. So Duncan Tappy and Dominic Farnbacher on the front row of the grid from Hiroshi Hamaguchi and Michael Meadows, row 2. Then we've got the Imperiale Lamborghini of Biaggi and the Teo Martin Motorsport BMW of Antonio Felix da Costa on row 3. Agnono Figueiredo in the Sport and New Mercedes, an excellent 7th, ahead of race 1 winner Philip Frommenweiler. Top 10 completed by Francesco Cini, and then Victor Buyeng in the 2nd Teo Martin Motorsport BMW. On to row 6, really impressive performance as well in the MS Racing Mercedes from Martin Conrad and Johnny Molam in the FF Course Ferrari. Andrea Fontana in the 2nd Imperiale Lamborghini and Michael Mack in Spirit of Race Ferrari. Watch to see how Mack can move up through the field. Francesco Guedes and Pier Giuseppe Perezzini show row 8. Again, Perezzini should make progress, as will, I'm sure, Edoardo Liberati and Sean Balfe, both of whom didn't really get the track position they wanted late on in qualifying. Marcello Hahn and Valentin Pierberg and all Mercedes, row 10. And then the field completed by Alex West and Luis Silva. So fantastic strength and depth. Arguably, any one of 15 or so cars could take the victory this afternoon. For Duncan Tappy, he will be hoping everything works in his favour off the line. So it's a 60-minute race, a rolling start, and then we've got the mandatory driver change and pit stops, but no refueling. They come between the 24 and 36-minute mark of the race. The car's about to be released on to the green flag formation lap. Last chance to get a gauge of the track conditions, also chance to get a little bit of heat into the Michelin tyre. Now, tyre strategy for today is going to be absolutely fascinating because the regulations in the International GTOpen are such that each car gets 16 tyres to use as they wish through the weekend. And so there was lots of talk about teams maybe trying to keep a couple of tyres in reserve for today's race. But we'll see how that unfolds. For now, though, it's the bright orange Garage 59 McLaren, the Duncan Tappy, that leads them away on the formation lap. Then it is the black with blue piping, Farnbacher Lexus, and then the absolutely immaculately liveried Lamborghini Huracan behind the Rolling Thunder. Gets up to speed and underway. This Estoril circuit, one that is very satisfying to drive around, but one that is also incredibly difficult to overtake at. And talking to the drivers after yesterday's race, they were saying there's only a couple of points on the circuit where really you can look to challenge. But as you can see from that camera angle, with the very heavy grey clouds above the track, a little bit of precipitation could make things very interesting indeed. Particularly as it's quite a chilly breeze as well. The air temperature a lot lower than it was yesterday. Now there's the bright red number 8 AF Course Ferrari with Pier Giuseppe Perezzini, who will be handing over to Marco Ciocci mid-race. And then the red McLaren, that is the Balfe Motorsport McLaren, the Sean Balfe. He's got the McLaren works driver of Rob Bell waiting in the wings, but he's also got success second handicap to overcome, because if you finish on the podium in preceding race, then you get success seconds added to your pit stop time, which then balances out performance through the course of the season. You see Antonio Felix da Costa just warming up, weaving around in the Teo Martin Motorsport BMW, the same for his Swedish teammate Victor Buyeng. So Mario Farnbacher watches on from the pit box, all relaxed there. Farnbacher Racing, Figueiredo in the Sport and New Mercedes. Certainly mixing it at the very sharp end of the field. It's going to be pretty busy for him, and indeed everybody else, heading into turn 1, because with overtaking opportunities at a premium, trying to make ground early on is what's absolutely key. As you can see, the spots of water on the camera lens through turn 12 into the Parabolica at turn 13. Now this is going to be a very busy start as Duncan Tappy bunches the field. They form up side by side through the Parabolica. 22 cars ready to go racing for the second time this year in the International GTOpen. We wait for the red lights on the gantry to change, then they're going to be unleashed for an hour of drama. It's Johnny Motham just trying to move to the middle of the road there in the FF Course Ferrari, try and see what he can do at the start. As the red lights hold them, they all bunch up, and away we go. Who gets the jump from the line? It's a very good start from Nono Figueiredo, as he anticipates it well. Also well away too is Michael Meadows in the Jordan Racing Bentley as they head into turn 1. It's Tappy who leads, Farnbacher second. Third, it's going to be Antonio Felix da Costa, who challenges Michael Meadows around the outside. They're all cleanly through. In fact, Meadows slots into third, da Costa in fifth, Magucci into sixth. Biaggi's lost lots of places. So also is Andrea Fontana in the Imperiale Lamborghini. He gets pushed out wide. Sean Balfe's made a little bit of ground too, as they climb out of turn 3 on towards turn 4. It's still side-by-side stuff. There's Mikel Mack looking to challenge to the outside of Francesco Cini as Duncan Tappy tries to check out, break clear of Dominic Farnbacher. Michael Meadows under real pressure from Antonio Felix da Costa. There is the red-bonneted BMW looking every which way behind the Bentley as they get on the brakes towards turn 6. Sean Balfe having an excellent lap there. He is looking to the inside of Martin Conrad as da Costa again tries to challenge Meadows. Meadows, a multiple British Porsche Carrera Cup champion. He's got the windscreen wipers going. It's just there's maybe a little bit of rain falling around the circuit as they all shuffle through the chicane. Da Costa looking for the switchback. He's going to try and gain a little bit of ground. Likewise, Balfe still pressurising Conrad. He's got Fontana and Guedes behind him. And yes, the change for third has happened. Da Costa goes third. Meadows shuffles to fourth. Now, what can Antonio Felix da Costa do? Meanwhile, Johnny Motham has had an excellent first lap as well, and Motham is up into about 6th place. He's just behind Hiroshi Hamaguchi. He's got Philip Fromenweiler behind him. And Motham, who back in 1997, of course, achieved that remarkable feat, winning every race in the season, is now being sandwiched either side. Lexus to the inside, Lamborghini to the outside. That's going to be very tight. He has to concede to the Lexus, but he gains the place on Hamaguchi in the Lamborghini. So that keeps Motham in 6th place. It promotes Fromenweiler up into 5th. as Mikel Mack just slithers wide. That opens the door to Victor Buyeng into turn 3. But Buyeng, sporting a little bit of damage, then runs wide. It's going to allow Mack to reclaim the place, which is exactly what happens. So the order is Tapi from Farnbacher, then Antonio Felix da Costa, Michael Meadows in 4th, 5th Philip Frommenweiler, 6th Johnny Molam, 7th Hiroshi Hamaguchi, in 8th place Nono Figueiredo, 9th Thomas Biaggi, and Francesco Cini completes the top 10. Headlights ablaze, it's looking very, very dark overhead. The track as yet I don't think is anywhere near damp enough to warrant wet tyres. As the front splitters grind on the road, Tapi coming under a little bit of pressure here from the Lexus of Dominic Farnbacher. McLaren a little bit more nimble through the slower corners, but then the Lexus very impressive through the parabolic, which they approach now. And then the question is as well, how quickly can Antonio Felix da Costa close up onto their tail? Swing through the parabolica, this to complete the second lap of the race. I think Tapi's got just enough on the Lexus this time around as they sprint down the start and finish straight. Farnbacher looks to try and close up. Over the ripples under braking, Farnbacher a little nibble to the inside. Tapi not going to be flustered by that. Moves across, claims the racing line. Their advantage over da Costa in 3rd is 2.1 seconds. There's a little bit of a gap back to Michael Meadows and Philip Frommenweiler. Super scrap this for the lead of the race, pretty much exactly where we left off yesterday. McLaren and Lexus doing battle at the sharp end of the field. Really big queue as well, starting to form behind Hiroshi Hamaguchi, headed by Nono Figueiredo in the sporting new Mercedes. Then we've got Biaggi in the Imperiale Racing Lamborghini. Figueiredo tries to have a little bit of a look to the inside of Hamaguchi, but the Japanese having absolutely none of it. Meanwhile, Philip Frommenweiler starting to probe the Bentley of Michael Meadows. And again, Meadows just positioning the Bentley just where he needs to, making it as wide as possible. Thwarts the Swiss driver's attempts to challenge into turns 9 and 10. Climbs steeply uphill again. Frommenweiler to try and find a way around the Bentley, and at the moment Meadows making it as difficult as possible for Frommenweiler to get past. That isn't allowing Johnny Molam to come into the mix as well in 6th position, as rumbling out of the parabolica. 3rd lap of the race about to be reeled off. Tapi's lead over Farnbacher, 3/4 of a second. Then Antonio Felix da Costa running at a very similar pace to the race leaders now. Meanwhile, Hamaguchi has got Figueiredo darting all over his tail. Thomas Biaggi also looking to join in that scrap as well. Then it's Cini and Mikel Mack, Victor Buyeng. It's the battle for 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th and 11th. Wonderful fighting as Figueiredo covers the inside line. Oh, and contact there. Cini tags Thomas Biaggi and Mikel Mack possibly tags Francesco Cini, as they all concertinaed up under braking. Don't think there's any more than a little bit of trim damage that's been incurred. You can see this is a continuous train of cars, as again Figueiredo looks to the outside of Hamaguchi. Mack tries to challenge Cini. Cini darts the inside of Thomas Biaggi. But Biaggi's going to lose a couple of places here. I just wonder if there's a little bit more damage to the Imperiale Lamborghini than first appeared to be the case. Biaggi then looks to defend from Victor Buyeng. Yeah, so sporting some damage. You can see there it's the rear splitter of the Lamborghini. Got tagged. They climb up through the chicane. Mikel Mack in particular, the Ferrari 488, trying to pressurise Francesco Cini. Here's another look at it. As Figueiredo braked sharply, Biaggi broke sharply, and it left Francesco Cini with absolutely nothing that he could do. And this is the move from Cini to the inside of Biaggi, and Biaggi not really fighting that one too hard. Still this train of cars arrives into turn 1. To Bouye right in the thick of it. As again, Figueiredo looks to try and line up the move on Hamaguchi. Hamaguchi, though, not having any of it. It's not much that, as a result, Figueiredo can do. Hiroshi Hamaguchi finished 5th in the Le Mans Cup last year, raced in the GT Asian Series the year before that. Whereas Figueiredo, the reigning Copa Petrobras champion from South America, has now got the 007 Solaris Aston Martin. Francesco Cini pressurising him. Michael Mack also sporting a little bit of trim damage just behind as well, trying to force his way past, but Hamaguchi will have the team on the radio just saying, stick to the racing line, let the others do the hard work. But it does mean he's got something like a 10-car train now formed up behind him. What it's also starting to allow is a little bit of daylight from 6th to 7th. So Johnny Motham in 6th now, 3 seconds up the road ahead of this scrap. Mack possibly getting a good run here on Francesco Cini as they come out of the chicane. Not much the Aston Martin driver could do about that. So Michael Mack, in the spirit of race Ferrari, gains another place. Francesco Cini demoted back into 10th position as they head along the start and finish straight once more. Oh, the problem for Antonio Felix da Costa. Da Costa going very slowly in the Teo Martin Motorsport BMW, almost cruising. And that's such a pity for da Costa and the Teo Martin Motorsport team. Very unusual for them to suffer a mechanical failure as well. So that suddenly shuffles the order once more. So removes one of the potential front-running podium challenging cars from the race. So Tapie and Farnbacher, who continue to lead the way. They're now 6.5 seconds clear of Michael Meadows in 3rd. Philip Frommerweiler, there he is right behind Meadows. Johnny Motham looking to join them. And then we've got the Hamaguchi, Figueiredo, Mack, Cini, Biaggi, Bouye, Conrad, Fontana, Balf, Liberati and Guedes battle. Sean Balf trying to find a way past Andrea Fontana. Red McLaren looks to the inside of 20-year-old Italian as da Costa abandons the BMW on the pit straight. I just wonder, as he stalks away dejectedly, if that is possibly going to lead to a safety car, because the car is on the pit straight. It's going to require somebody to come out onto the straight and remove the car. There you see it. Meanwhile, what it does do is remove the overtaking opportunity into turn 1, because they've all got to run single file down the straight. And then they can start justly once they get past da Costa. Now, a moment for Jose Francisco Guedes in another of the Teo Martin Motorsport BMWs. Looks like a quick spin through turn 10. Still Figueiredo getting every opportunity to inspect the back of the Triple F Racing by ACM Lamborghini of Hiroshi Hamaguchi. Spirit of Race Ferrari of Michael Mack staying with them. But the shower that we had a moment ago has blown through, so it's making the track conditions improve once more. Looking to the distance, we haven't got grey clouds looking like they're going to be arriving immediately. So we're 12 minutes away from the pit window opening. Duncan Tapie leads the way by a second over Dominic Farnbacher. Then it's 7.2 seconds back to Michael Meadows in 3rd. He's got Philip Frommerweiler right behind him, and Johnny Motham in 5th. And Hiroshi Hamaguchi 4 seconds back from Motham in 6th. Nono Figueiredo, Michael Mack, Francesco Cini and Thomas Biaggi then all completing the top 10. It's been a frantic opening 12 minutes or so to the race. The track, pleased to report, now clear, so they can race down the start and finish straight. Although the Emil Frey Racing Lexus not in position to challenge the Jordan Racing BMW. Johnny Motham in the FF Course Ferrari keeping them company. Down to turn 1, down towards turn 2. Again, the camber just tries to kick the cars out the edge of the road before it falls away further still on the brakes into turn 3. Now, of this group of cars, don't forget that Philip Frommenweiler in second car in the group, 4th in the race overall. He has got a 15-second pit handicap as a result of he and Albert Costa's victory yesterday. And the way that things currently stand, that would feed Frommenweiler out into about 13th place. So he needs to work to try and gap the field. Figueiredo again looks to have a little bit of a look to the inside of Hiroshi Hamaguchi. Figueiredo currently comfortably the GTOpen class leader. It's Johnny Molam through the twisty bits of the circuit, able to start to apply a little bit of pressure to the Lexus of Philip Frommenweiler. Then we come into this final sector of that. This is where Frommenweiler can stretch his legs in the Lexus a little bit. The same goes for the Jordan Racing Bentley of Michael Meadows, particularly through the parabolica. Those two cars very strong, and then getting that propulsion onto the start and finish straight. They can see off in the distance Duncan Tappy and Dominic Farnbacher. Tappy's lead over Farnbacher now 1.8 seconds, and it's 8 seconds back to this gaggle behind. And then Hamaguchi further 4 seconds or so back. So the early battling just starting to settle down. Of yesterday's other podium finishers, Sean Balfe currently in 13th place, 24 seconds off the lead, and Alex West finished 3rd yesterday. He's in 18th place, 34 seconds off the lead. So plenty for Com Ledegaard and Rob Bell to do in the latter stage of the race. Ledegaard, who takes over from West, Bell, who will jump into the Balfe Motorsport McLaren. This certainly could play nicely into the hands of Antonio Liuzzi, and he takes over from Hiroshi Hamaguchi, because Hamaguchi keeping that Lamborghini in very good contention. And Figueiredo doing an excellent job in the Mercedes, as see the tail end of an attempted pass there from Philip Frommenweiler on Michael Meadows. So Meadows under pressure now from the Emil Frey Racing Lexus, and again Meadows has to cover the inside line into the chicane. What he can then do is do exactly what he did, which is run through reasonably slowly, try and block out Frommenweiler in the Lexus. Frommenweiler looking to swoop around the outside. He can't quite do it, but now Meadows needs to pick up the pace as they head into the parabolica. You can see the Bentley coming under real pressure, and surely Frommenweiler is going to have a good opportunity to challenge the Jordan Racing Bentley as they come down the start and finish straight towards turn 1. Johnny Molam lurking with intent as well in 5th position as they flash through. Been a warning as well given to Michael Meadows for track limits. He's probably got more than enough to concentrate on as it is, with Philip Frommenweiler bobbing and weaving on his tail. Weiler, who finished 8th in the Porsche Super Cup last year, the 27-year-old Swiss. Very welcome addition to the International GTOpen, as again Meadows just struggling a little bit through turn 3, and he's starting 15 minutes into the race now to possibly feel the effects of having got through the best of those tyres. Meanwhile, Valentin Pierberg and Alex West do battle. Pierberg running a little bit wide in the SPS Automotive Mercedes. Cost him a couple of places. Now it was out of turn 6 a lap ago that Frommenweiler got the run on Meadows down towards turn 7. And again, the Lexus appreciably quicker than the Bentley. Again, Meadows knows exactly where he needs to place the car. You get the feeling that if Frommenweiler could get past Michael Meadows, he'd be able to pull away reasonably easily. But of course, it's one thing to catch the car in front, quite another to find your way past it. The element of strategy also comes into play fairly quickly too. 7 minutes till the pit window opens for the 12-minute mid-race interchange. I think we'd expect to see Michael Meadows staying out reasonably deep into the pit window, whereas Frommenweiler might come in fairly rapidly to hand over to Albert Costa. Likewise, Johnny Molan will stay out for a while. And as you can see now, as Michael Meadows defends, it's allowing the Hamaguchi, Figueiredo, Mac, Sini and Biaggi train all to close up onto this scrap for third. It's now become a 6-car tussle for third position. Really enjoyable race, this one. Now, getting word on our timing screen, there's possibly a penalty heading the way of Johnny Molan. We saw that he moved to the centre of the track, ready for the rolling start. That has been spotted by the stewards, and there may well be some action taken. It's a wonderful race, this. Tapie and Farnbacher leading the way. They are now 12 seconds ahead of this titanic scrap for third, which goes all the way back to 8th place. Figueiredo and Mikel Mack, and again Figueiredo just struggling a little bit with understeer through turn 6 in the sporting new Mercedes. Does it offer a glimmer of hope towards turn 7 for Mikel Mack? Not really. Spirit of race Ferrari, you've got to really feel for Mack and Ramos this weekend. They haven't had a second of racing where they've been in clear air to show their true potential. Again, once the pit stops are cycled out, they might find themselves reasonably well placed for the latter stages of the race. Here's the race leader, Duncan Tapie, as we approach 1/3 race distance. Dominic Farnbacher has been his ever-present shadow. Farnbacher in the Lexus, 2 seconds adrift of Tapie. And the rest of the train for third fires through. Meadows has just seen off that immediate threat from and Weiler as Johnny Molan slipping into the clutches of Hiroshi Hamaguchi. Figueiredo and Mikel Mack all looking to join in as well. It's Jordan Witt, clearly glad to be a TV star in the Jordan Racing pit box. Watching the progress of his car in third place. A little bit more of a comfortable third place than it has been for the past couple of laps, as Michael Meadows tries to streak away from and Weiler. The gap between them at the end of the lap was 7/10 of a second. It's again Mikel Mack trying to force the mistake from Figueiredo, but much tighter through turn 6 that time around from the Brazilian, and instead Figueiredo once more looks to ask some questions of Hiroshi Hamaguchi. There's a slight gap back from Mikel Mack in 8th, Thomas Biaggi in 9th. Biaggi currently 23 seconds off the lead of the race as they climb up through the chicane. It's turn 12, Hamaguchi struggling to claim the apex. Tapie and Farnbacher setting near identical lap times, lap on lap at the front of the field. Very impressive, as now Figueiredo gets a good run out of the Parabolica. He might look to challenge the Lamborghini Huracan here of Hiroshi Hamaguchi as they head down the start and finish straight. Hamaguchi can see it coming. He moves to the inside line. He's going to force the Brazilian to look to the outside as they get on the brakes to turn 1. Over the ripples in the road, Hamaguchi slows the car. Does he slither wide? Not enough to allow Figueiredo to challenge. Through turn 2, again, all very orderly from Hamaguchi. He's defending very well. So although Figueiredo can close up, there's not an awful lot he can do about trying to pick his way past. And the run from turn 3 to turn 4, a little bit too short for the Mercedes to draw onto terms. They'll then come out of turn 4, down this back stretch. Turn 5, very quick right-hander. Feeds them on to the left-hand hairpin at turn 6. On the brakes, round the hairpin, and then downhill towards turn 7. We're all having to be a little bit mindful of track limits as well. We're seeing quite a few track limit warnings being given to the drivers. As yet, no penalties. Replay further back, and that's Martin Conrad challenging Victor Bouillet. Conrad just sliding a little bit wide in the MS Racing Mercedes. Now, that might, no, I don't think it will, give the opportunity to Sean Balfe to make a little bit of ground. It's been a good lap from Duncan Tappy relative to Dominic Farnbacher. So Tappy now 2.5 seconds his advantage over Farnbacher. They're 13 seconds ahead of this scrap for third. Meadows has shaken off the attentions of Frommenweiler. Johnny Molam trying to get up to them. Once again, Figueiredo trying to jig to the inside of Hiroshi Hamaguchi. Climb uphill into the left-hander. Mack moving the Spirit of Race Ferrari around, trying to craft any sort of opening that he can. As yet, none forthcoming. Certainly the Ferrari not close enough to challenge the Mercedes, which in turn isn't quite able to thrust to the inside of the Lamborghini into turn 6, but Hamaguchi just gets a little bit of a power slide, a little bit of over-exuberance with the throttle as he comes out of 6. Down to the right-hander at turn 7, towards the bottom of the circuit before the climbs uphill. Jinking through turns 9 and 10. Then on to the tabletop element of the track that will bring them back round into the Parabolica and through to complete. It's going to be the 14th lap of the race. On the Parabolica, you just hear the rumble of the Mercedes and then the clean, crisp engine notes of the Lamborghini and the Ferrari. This is the fight for third. Duncan Tappy leads. Dominic Farnbacher is second. Then Michael Meadows, the Bentley, third. The Lexus, Philip Frommenweiler in fourth. Johnny Molan, the Ferrari, fifth. And then Hamaguchi, Figueiredo and Mikael Mack in the battle for 6th, 7th and 8th. The pit lane is now open, so the driver change is on for 12 minutes. This is where the element of strategy is going to start to come into play, particularly as we're seeing a flood of cars further down the field. So into the pits has come Andrea Fontana. Also into the pit lane has come Pier Giuseppe Perezzini to hand over to Marco Ciocci. Fontana to pass the car to Vito Postiglione. Alain Cordier will take over from Marcello Harm. Com Ledegaard to take over from Alex West. And there is Tom Onslow-Cole. Will jump into the Mercedes in place of Valentin Pierberg. Onslow-Cole, the former star of the British Touring Car Championship, clambers in. Ledegaard likewise into the Garage 59 McLaren. Tyre strategies also to the fore. Antonio Coimbra takes over from Luis Silva at the wheel of the Sport & U Mercedes. Now this group of cars, they're coming towards the end of lap 15. They pass the start and finish line just a little bit too late to make their pit stops. But of this group, we might see Frommenweiler coming in. We may well see Hamaguchi pitting as well to pass over to Vitantonio Liuzzi. As Perezzini's pit stop handover to Ciocci is completed. And yep, who is ducking pitwards? Yes, in goes Frommenweiler, in also goes Hamaguchi. Everything else continues on their way. A little bit of bodywork goes flying. I think that is the trim on the Ferrari of Mikael Mack, who gets a superb run here on Nono Figueiredo into turn 1. Mack to the outside. And he goes right the way around Nono Figueiredo. It's been a move many laps in the making. But Mikael Mack able to complete the pass. Albert Costa jumps in to the Emil Frey Racing Lexus. Now, don't forget, they have got that additional 15-second pit handicap. As Vito Postiglione emerges from the pits and immediately into this battle at the sharp end of the pack. And Postiglione not entirely inclined to move aside from Mikael Mack. Mack rather forces the issue on him. And then Figueiredo will also try and gain ground, but of course Postiglione effectively is racing cars that you can't, well, you potentially can see, but it's when the pit cycle has all worked through. Meanwhile, the Balfe Motorsport mechanics get to work. Rob Bell having taken over from Sean Balfe. Now this, not only Figueiredo, frustrating, but he comfortably leads the GTAM element of the race. Also got Com Ledegaard right behind them, and Ledegaard is racing Vito Postiglione, so it all goes into flux a little bit in this mid-race period, particularly as the pit cycle here is feeding some of the cars that were just off the pace right into the path of the race leaders. Ledegaard trying the almost impossible to challenge through the Parabolica on Figueiredo. Into the pit now. Mario Farnbacher takes over from Dominic Farnbacher in the Lexus, so they're going to get their pit stop done nice and early. It releases Duncan Tappi now into a comfortable lead. Also in is Thomas Biaggi, with the 25-year-old Italian, Giovanni Venturini, who takes over from him. So the Imperiale Racing squad get to work. It's Ledegaard, hustles and hassles. Nono Figueiredo in the Sporting Mercedes trying to find a way past him. Meanwhile, Mauro Calamir into the Solaris Aston Martin in place of Francesco Cini. New set of boots as well for them, as Ledegaard looking every which way to threaten Figueiredo. Almost happens through the hairpin. Ledegaard able to take the really tight line, but the torque of the Mercedes gives it just enough on the exit as Giovanni Venturini thunders down the pit lane. Ledegaard getting a little bit frustrated, although he's essentially a lap down. The more track position he can clear now gives he and Alex West the best possible chance of a good finishing position late on. And now he should be able to make the move on the Mercedes. He is into turn 12. Figueiredo forced into the demotion. Now the driver who is absolutely flying is Rob Bell, who has just done 2 of the fastest sectors of the race so far in 15th place. He's in pursuit of Fran Rueda in the Teo Martin Motorsport BMW. He took over from Victor Bouyang. So the current order is Duncan Tappi, the race leader, 20 seconds clear of this man, Michael Meadows, in second. Johnny Molam is third. Michael Mack is fourth. Nono Figueiredo is fifth. Martin Conrad is sixth. Eduardo Liberati is seventh. And they all haven't made their pit stops. Of those that have pitted, it's Mario Farnbacher, who is clear of Giovanni Venturini and Mauro Calamia. And then Vitantonio Liuzzi would appear to, I think, have suffered from a slightly slower pit stop in the Triple F Racing Lamborghini, because he would appear to have emerged some way out of position. He should have been snapping at the heels of Venturini, if not slightly ahead of him, and instead Liuzzi is some way adrift. Meanwhile, Michael Mack moving aside there to allow Vito Postiglione past him. Possibly sensing that Postiglione on new tyres is always going to be a little bit quicker. So race leader Duncan Tappi on his way. Yes, on adjusted time now, Liuzzi is in the right position. 20 seconds adrift to Mario Farnbacher, so that's going to be worth watching. So those that have pitted, it is Farnbacher from Liuzzi, then Venturini, Calamia and Albert Costa. As into pit lane now comes Michael Meadows, just over half race distance from second place. It's hand over to Jordan Witt. Jordan Racing team get to work on the Bentley. Great drive that from Michael Meadows. Every possibility here for Jordan Witt to maybe sneak a podium from the race. Well, the pit window closes with 24 minutes left on the clock. So Duncan Tappi's got time for a couple more laps here. Tappi and Mike Benham, who won the second race in Estoril 12 months ago, admittedly after a last lap coming together between Crestani and West. It was Ian Benham's sole victory of the 2016 campaign, as Felipe Barrieroth about to take over from Jose Francisco Guedes. So it's a fairly select club now that haven't come in for their pit stops. Teo Martin Motorsport mechanics getting to work on the BMW. As Tappi is going to go into at least one more lap. Now in the background you can see that Mauro Calamia in the Solaris Aston Martin being caught very quickly by Albert Costa, and then just behind as well was Rob Bell, who's been able to get the jump on Fran Raidra over the course of that last lap. So we've got this train of cars of Liuzzi, Venturini, Calamia, Costa and Bell. They're all separated by a few seconds from each other, but they are pushing very hard. Duncan Tappy in pursuit of Jordan Witt. Now, by my maths, Jordan is going to have fed out between Mario Farnbacher and Vitantonio Liuzzi. It's something like a 20-second hole in the air between the Lexus and the Lamborghini. That is where we expect to see it. Meanwhile, Marcio Basso takes over from Nonno Figueiredo in the sporting new Mercedes. Great drive that from Figueiredo. So it's just Tappy, Molam and Mack whom we're awaiting in the pits, because Kang Ling takes over from Eduardo Liberati in the Raton Racing Lamborghini. As yet, Tappy unable to find a way past the Bentley. And every second that Duncan Tappy can gain here is just a little bit of buffer for Mike Benham. And there you see behind Jordan Witt, it's in fact Mauro Calamia, so Witt has been fed out behind Liuzzi and Venturini. Tappy, he's going to sneak one final lap of the stint. So of those that have pitted, it's Farnbacher from Liuzzi, then Venturini, then Witt. Duncan Tappy trying to get to the inside of the Bentley into turn one. He's just able to squeeze past in the Garage 59 McLaren now. So Tappy's released essentially for what will almost be a qualifying lap round to the pits, the race leader. And that last lap from Tappy was a 1 minute 42.4. That compares to a 1 minute 39.9 from Venturini, 1 minute 40 dead from Mario Farnbacher. And so those couple of seconds lost there for Duncan Tappy might just be able to propel Farnbacher into the lead of the race by the time these pit stops are cycled through. Meanwhile, Mikel Mack is in. Miguel Ramos will take over at the wheel of the Spirit of Race Ferrari. The team get to work slotting the Michelins onto the car. You can see that Mack has certainly had some adventures, as now Witt under pressure from Mauro Calamia, Albert Costa and Rob Bell, as Alexander Praquina takes over from Martin Conrad in the Mercedes. Mario Farnbacher absolutely flying. He's just on 1 minute 39.7. And so this is going to be touch and go here between Duncan Tappy and the Garage 59 McLaren, and Farnbacher out on the track as to how this unfolds in terms of who's going to be leading the race post pit stops. So Tappy has to duck to the pit lane now. He does. It will be Mike Benham who will assume control of the car as they slow down to the 60 kilometres per hour pit lane speed limit. It's been a superb performance this from Tappy. But has it been enough to maintain that buffer over Mario Farnbacher as Tappy got caught in traffic late on? The Garage 59 squad very well drilled under the leadership of Tim Mullen, himself an excellent driver. New boots going on for Mike Benham. So Benham's going to be in a position to, I think, push the car pretty hard, as Jordan Witt doing everything he can to keep Mauro Calamia, Albert Costa and Rob Bell at bay. Johnny Molam has done his job. Ivor Dunbar about to take over at the wheel of the FF Course Ferrari. And that concludes the pit stops. Oh, and contact between Calamia and Jordan Witt. Witt shut the door a little bit late on the Aston Martin then, and has lost several places for his troubles. Also, just gives the slither an opportunity to Rob Bell to start to challenge Albert Costa. This was essentially the battle for the lead of the race yesterday, as Benham looks to head out of the pit lane now. Where is Mario Farnbacher is the question. So there is Benham, and I would venture that Farnbacher has got the lead of the race from Mike Benham. We'll find out at the end of this lap. 23 minutes to go. And so this could be a winner piece for each of the Lexus teams this weekend. Benham is pretty much out in splendid isolation now. Here is Mario Farnbacher, who is, yes, he's a couple of corners up the road ahead of Mike Benham. So the Farnbacher Racing team doing a great job through the pit stops and then the run of the traffic either side of it, and it's Mario Farnbacher who is the race leader. Well, lots of speculation pre-weekend. How would the Lexus cars go? The answer is very well. Meanwhile, here is the battle between Giovanni Venturini and Vitantonio Liuzzi. This is for the final spot on the podium, the two Lamborghini Huracans, the Imperiale Racing car in pursuit of the Triple F Racing one. And another look then at Calamir's move on Jordan Witt. Yeah, Calamir was fully alongside at the point that Witt turned in. Oh, and the change, Venturini past Liuzzi. Giovanni Venturini absolutely flying at the wheel of the Imperiale car. There was certainly speculation in the pit lane this morning that the Imperiale squad have got a fresh set of tyres ready for this race. Possibly is being borne out by the way that Venturini is able to fly in the latter stages. Beautifully executed move nonetheless. So there is Benham. So the race order is Mario Farnbacher, he leads 8.8 seconds clear of Michael Benham. Third place is Giovanni Venturini. Fourth is Vitantonio Liuzzi. Two Lamborghinis still flying in formation. And they are 16 seconds back from Benham with 21 minutes to go. In fifth place it's Miguel Ramos. Sixth, Mauro Calamia. Seventh is Rob Bell. Eighth, Ivor Dunbar. Ninth, Albert Costa. And 10th, Jordan Witt. So Bell, off camera, able to make a move on Albert Costa. So this, a good weekend so far for the Balfe Motorsport team. They're looking set for two solid top 10 finishes. But if things stay as they are, it's going to be the Farnbacher Racing team. We're going to leave Estoril with the lead of the championship. It was a fourth place yesterday for Farnbachers, and a win likely today. And you see Bell about to make a move on Mauro Calamir. Now we saw waved yellow flags. Also flying is Marco Ciocci. He's just behind Fran Rueda in Teo Martin BMW. They're both up with Jordan Witt as Bell looks to the inside of the Aston Martin. Doing there. Likewise Ciocci, maybe a little bit of assistance to Fran Rueda. Ciocci darts through. Bell has also made the move on Calamir. So Rob Bell goes up into 6th position now. As Ciocci looks to challenge Jordan Witt. And this is what happened over at turn 3. Oh, a spin for Ivor Dunbar. Shame for the FF course driver. Ciocci past Witt as well. It's Marco Ciocci gaining a couple of places over the course of that lap. Now the battle to watch for as they come towards the end of this 23rd lap of the race, or the gaps to keep you updated with. We have another look. And there you see Ciocci, just a helping hand to Fran Rueda through turn 6. Mario Farnbacher is 10.5 seconds clear of Michael Benham, but last lap for Benham was a 1 minute 42.0 versus a 1 minute 39.9 for Giovanni Venturini. So Venturini took 2 seconds out of Benham's advantage in second place. He's 14 seconds back. Liuzzi also a good second a lap quicker than Mike Benham. So the podium is far from settled just yet. What is looking, though, very good is the progress of the Farnbacher Lexus. Where Dominic Farnbacher controlled proceedings. In terms of the GTOpen class, it's Alexandre Trauquina who leads that from Marcio Basso and Antonio Coimbra. 18.5 minutes to go in the second race of the International GTOpen season. And Mario Farnbacher in the Farnbacher Racing Lexus leads from Michael Benham in the Garage 59 McLaren, and then in third place it's the Imperiale Racing Lamborghini of Giovanni Venturini. That lap from Farnbacher a 1 minute 41.0, Benham a 1 minute 42.3. Now what can Venturini offer us? A 1 minute 40.6. It's Venturini 12 seconds adrift of Benham as Albert Costa loses out to Marco Ciocci, and Ciocci on an absolute fly here. He goes up into 8th place. Albert Costa slips down. Ivor Dunbar losing a bit more ground. It's essentially to go a lap down, I think, to Jordan Witt and Fran Rueda. A bit of damage on Witt's Bentley. Rueda currently in 11th place in the Teo Marti Motorsport BMW. So the rest of the top 10 then is Liuzzi is 4th, 5th is Miguel Ramos, 6th Rob Bell, 7th Mauro Calamira in the Solaris Aston Martin, 8th Chiocci, 9th is Albert Costa in the ML Frey Racing Lexus, and we're watching the battle for 10th between the Jordan Racing Bentley of Jordan Witt and Fran Rueda in the Teo Marti Motorsport BMW. They have got the Raton Racing Lamborghini of Kang Ling chasing them, and also Com Ledegaard in the Garage 59 McLaren, not a million miles back either. Still got over a quarter of the race to run. Still some intriguing battles to wind themselves through as Rueda looks to draw alongside Jordan Witt as a pair of them head downhill into turn 7. On the brakes up through the chicane. These are two big cars, the Bentley and the BMW. They like the quick sections of the circuit, slightly less keen, particularly at this stage of the weekend, about maybe some of the slightly slower and more technical elements. Well, the battle certainly to keep an eye on, I think, is going to be the one for 2nd, 3rd and 4th, because the rate of capture at the moment for Mike Benham by both Giovanni Venturini and Vitantonio Liuzzi is such that they are going to be onto terms with Benham well before the checkered flag. So the Garage 59 man is going to have to get his elbows out a little bit. It all plays into hands quite nicely though. Mario Farnbacher in the lead of the race. Such is the strength and depth of the field. This battle for 10th, he's certainly in the case of Jordan Witt. This was a car that was in contention for the podium just a few moments ago. Meanwhile, Tom Onslow Cole doing battle with Alain Coder. This is the fight for 15th and 16th place. Coder very impressive yesterday, running right at the front of the field, and he is pressurising the SPS Automotive Mercedes in his DriveX car through turn 5, down the back stretch. Quite close enough, I don't think, to challenge Onslow Cole as they get on the brakes into the hairpin. Onslow Cole taking that slightly wider track, looking to get the torque on the way out as Rueda able to make the move, darting to the inside of Jordan Witt as they went through turn 8. Unusual to see cars running side by side through there, but Rueda does the job. Immediately Witt has now got Kang Ling and Com Ledegaard to start worrying about. It's going to be the Chinese driver Ling who gets onto terms first. 14.5 minutes to run. The gap from 2nd to 3rd at the end of this 26th lap, 8.2 seconds. Let's have a look at how it all unfolded. Rueda going for the move into turn 7, gave him the inside line for turn 8, and thereafter not a huge amount the Witt could do. So Mario Farnbacher is still the race leader. Mike Benham in 2nd. 8.2 seconds now his advantage over Giovanni Venturini. Vitantonio Liuzzi in 4th, only 3 seconds back, with Venturini and Liuzzi on course to catch the McLaren over the next few laps. Miguel Ramos in 5th, likewise has got Rob Bell very quickly getting on to his tail in the battle for 5th and 6th. Mauro Calamira in 7th has got Marco Chiocci right behind him. Mario Farnbacher has got a 14.5 second lead, and probably the time to set up the car stereo for a few podcasts or the like, because he is absolutely dominating this one, and it's been a very, very solid weekend for the Farnbacher squad. 4th place yesterday, running a very strong 2nd in the first phase of the race today, getting the jump through the pit stops. And thereafter, Mario Farnbacher is running at a pace That means he's under no particular threat from those behind. Here's, meanwhile, the battle for 5th and 6th place. Miguel Ramos, the Spirit of Race Ferrari. Then the Balf Motorsport McLaren of Rob Bell. And then Mauro Calamia and Marco Ciocci not too far adrift either. They fight over 7th and 8th place. As Ciocci, the AF Course Ferrari, pressurises the Solaris Aston Martin of Mauro Calamia. Calamia we've seen previously in the International GTOpen at the wheel of a Maserati, going back a couple of years ago. There is Albert Costa, yesterday's race winner, the Emil Frey Racing Lexus. Ciocci sees half an opening to the inside at turn 4. Thought about a little slip to the inside. Couldn't quite craft the opening, but he hassles the Aston Martin through turn 5 and down the back straight towards turn 6. The AF Course Ferrari, there is a car length too far adrift to the Aston Martin, which caused Calamia any problems unless Calamia makes an error, which he does not do. Down a while, out of turn 7 through turn 8. Ciocci was good on the brakes at turn 9 in yesterday's race, but the Aston Martin well positioned, defends enough. Ciocci though looking for the switchback as they climb out the corner. I think he may have done enough here, Marco Ciocci. Indeed he has. Jumps to the inside Calamia and then shuts the door at turn 12. So Marco Ciocci goes 7th, Calamia demoted to 8th. And now the AF Course Ferrari released to see what he can do. Now chasing down Ramos and Bell ahead. Calamia runs wide, scatters some AstroTurf. There is Rob Bell chasing Miguel Ramos in their fight for 5th and 6th. The battle ahead, by the way, for 2nd, 3rd and 4th. It's now just 4 seconds from Mike Benham to Giovanni Venturini. So we'd expect to see Venturini with Benham in the next lap or so. Bell steadily whittled away Ramos's advantage. Now, where can the McLaren find a way past? Miguel Ramos, of course, who claimed the International GTOpen title in 2015 at the wheel of a McLaren, knows exactly where the car is going to be strong, so where he can play to the advantages of the Ferrari. But Bell has got the inside track here into the hairpin. Very nicely judged from Rob Bell. He gains the position, moves up into 5th. That may well be as far as the Balf Motorsport McLaren is going to go, though, because Bell has now got 12 seconds or so to try and close up to Vitantonio Liuzzi. Another look at it, really a textbook move from Rob Bell, saw the gap, and also Miguel Ramos using all of his experience not to shut the door well after the event. So Mike Benham goes past the commentary box. 2.6 seconds his advantage over Venturini. So that's probably the battle to watch for, is the one for 2nd and 3rd place, the Garage 59 McLaren, and the bright green Lamborghini. And here we are. So this is Mike Benham, 2nd place for Benham. Now where is Venturini? The timing screen told us he was 2.6 seconds back as Ramos tries to close back onto turns with Rob Bell. And there is Venturini. So the battle for 2nd and 3rd is being joined now. The rate of capture in the past couple of laps, which you can see on the graphic, it suggests that Venturini is going to be within striking distance of Mike Benham by the end of this 30th lap of the race. Benham, who came into the International GTOpen Championship last year without all that many race miles under his belt, but acquitted himself extremely well. Won in Estoril, was unlucky not to win in Paul Ricard, but featured on the podium several other occasions through the course of the season. The podium looking good for Benham today. It's going to be a question of how long can he keep Venturini behind him, and is that going to allow Vitantonio Liuzzi, who's only a few seconds back, up the road as well. You just saw a glimpse of Liuzzi there. He is to try and join this scrap as well, because the McLaren is such a nimble car through the corners that as long as Benham is able to do the job through the Parabolica and out of turn 4, there might not be an awful lot the Venturini and the Lamborghini can do about him. A little bit of traffic to contend with as well. That's going to be Philippe Barrieroff, who they'll be lapping fairly shortly in the Teo Martin Motorsport BMW. And on the brakes into turn 1, the Imperiale Racing Lamborghini, Giovanni Venturini, alongside reigning champion Thomas Biaggi, closes onto Benham. It's under 8 minutes left in the race. It means they've got time probably for 4 more laps. And we saw a couple of occasions last year that Mike Benham very good at soaking up the pressure, not being flustered when quicker cars potentially chase it. But Venturini really doing a fine job in the Imperiale Racing Lamborghini. We've not seen a lot of Venturini, but he has been consistently in this phase of the race alongside Rob Bell, one of the quickest cars on the track. Benham just takes the slightly wider track through turn 6, downhill towards turn 7. He defends. Venturini tries to craft an opening anyway. Benham moves across, shuts the door, as he's perfectly entitled to do. I think they could do without the distraction here of Philippe Barrieroth, which is a slight frustration for Benham, who is trying to attack and defend, pick his way past the BMW, whilst at the same time keep the Lamborghini behind him. And Barrieroth sees them coming, moves aside. It's very good, gentlemanly of the Portuguese, because it allows us to enjoy this battle for second place, which heads around the Parabolica. 6.5 minutes left on the clock. Mario Farnbacher long gone. Venturini might have a run here on the McLaren as they head down the start and finish straight. Benham's going to have to move across and cover the inside line. That's exactly what he does. Venturini goes with him and looks even deeper to the inside. Benham tries to squeeze him, but Venturini's got the position. Or has he? They try to shut the door on each other, but Venturini squeezes past, takes second place away from Mike Benham. And the Imperiale Racing Lamborghini of Giovanni Venturini released into clear air, but he's 20 seconds back from Mario Farnbacher. So I suggest that's as far as he's going to go. Thumbs up from Thomas Biaggi. And this is the approach that took Biaggi to the championship last year. 1 win for Biaggi, 8 podiums. The question now for Mike Benham is whether or not Liuzzi can chase up onto his tail as well. There is Liuzzi, you see in the background, the Triple F Racing Lamborghini. See, racing Formula 1 with Toro Rosso, Red Bull, Force India and HRT, not short on top level experience. Got onto the Pro-Am podium yesterday. He's looking like he's going to get onto the Pro-Am podium again today. And actually the Benham and Liuzzi battle is the one for the Pro-Am class win. Alexander Fraquina, currently the leader of the GTAM class, but only 4 seconds clear of a very fast closing Antonio Coimbra. So with 5 minutes to run, lots to be resolved. So here is Benham. Now, what is his lap time relative to that of Vitantonio Liuzzi as Venturini romps clear? Benham accelerates along the start and finish straight in the Garage 59 McLaren, and he sets a time of a 1 minute 43.8. Vitantonio Liuzzi, there he is, ominously in the background, 1.5 seconds quicker. So Liuzzi now just 2.3 seconds back from Benham, and Liuzzi is going to have time. Oh no, he's not, he goes off. Liuzzi goes off at the first corner through the gravel trap. I was going to say he was going to have time to catch Mike Benham, but it's Liuzzi who blinks first, makes the mistake in the Lamborghini Huracan, bumps his way back onto the track, right into the path of Rob Bell, and that's a gift for Bell, who swings around the outside of the Lamborghini and goes fourth. So brilliant start to the season for Rob Bell and Sean Balfe. And don't forget that Sean qualified down in 18th place, raced up through the order very nicely. And I just wonder if Liuzzi's picked up some damage, because Miguel Ramos also squeezes past the Lamborghini Huracan. So that pitches Liuzzi down into 6th place. And Marco Ciocci closing pretty rapidly as well. May also find his way past the Lamborghini. So 3.5 minutes to go. Yes, and there is the move from Ciocci on Liuzzi. So 3.5 minutes to go. The order looking relatively settled for the first time, with Farnbacher. There he is, Mario Farnbacher, into what may well be the penultimate lap of the race at the wheel of the Farnbacher Racing Lexus. Beautifully controlled race, and looking like he may well be set for an unusually dominant victory. 21.5 seconds clear of Giovanni Venturini, but on that last lap, Farnbacher appreciably quicker than Venturini. Then Mike Benham in third. Now, Benham's advantage over Rob Bell in fourth is 10.5 seconds, so that's unlikely to change. Miguel Ramos is fifth in the Spirit of Race Ferrari. Marco Ciocci is sixth. Mauro Calamia in the Solaris Aston Martin seventh. Albert Costa in the Emerald Fro Racing Lexus eighth. Now here is, and was Antonio Coimbra briefly, who is in pursuit potentially of a class victory in the amateur class, as GTAM class rather, as into the pit lane comes Vitantonio Liuzzi, and it might well be a tyre that cried enough. The team have a look, possibly some of the internals have been damaged as well, so a very disappointing end to the weekend for Liuzzi and Hamaguchi. It's going to be a good result for Michael Benham and Duncan Tappy, as Mario Farnbacher about to start the last lap of the race. He crosses the line now, so we're into the final lap of the race. Very entertaining second race of the weekend here in Estoril. Sets us up very nicely for the rest of the International GTOpen season. Giovanni Venturini and Thomas Biaggi, second place looking on the cards today to go with the fifth place from yesterday. So again, they are going to be pulling together a very nice haul of championship points, as will Rob Bell and Sean Balfe, en route to second place and a fourth from the weekend. Ramos and Mikel Mack, despite the frustrations being in traffic, they have played the long game today. It looks like it's going to reward them with a fifth position. For Dominic and Mario Farnbacher, today couldn't have gone much better. Dominic staying in touch with Duncan Tappy in the early stage of the race. They're able to get the cut on the Garage 59 McLaren during the pit stops, and thereafter Mario Farnbacher has been able to stretch the rest of the field and has built up the best part of a 23-second lead as he rounds the penultimate turn. Then it's into the Parabolica for the final time. It's been a wonderful weekend for the Lexus here in the International GTOpen, with both Lexus teams scoring a victory. Yesterday it was Emil Frey Racing, but today it is Farnbacher Racing and Dominic and Mario Farnbacher who claim victory in the second race of the International GTOpen season, to the delight of the squad. Celebration time for Farnbacher Racing on the pit wall. They take the win, and a very comfortable win it is too, from the Imperiale Racing Lamborghini of Giovanni Venturini and Thomas Biaggi. The Lamborghini Huracan crosses the line in second place, 23 seconds adrift, and third, and Pro-Am class honours going to Mike Benham and Duncan Tappy in the Garage 59 McLaren. The second Pro-Am car across the line, Rob Bell and Sean Balfe, with then Miguel Ramos and Mikel Mack in fifth, ahead of Marco Ciocci and Giuseppe Perezzini in sixth, and they complete the Pro-Am podium. Mauro Calamia takes seventh from Albert Costa in eighth, and Com Ledegar racing through the field to take ninth at the flag, but a big smile from Thomas Biaggi. Sure, a big smile under the helmet for Mario Farnbacher. And Dominic Farnbacher taking win in the Lexus RCF GT3 car that has triumphed in both races. Enjoyable scrap as well between Giovanni Venturini and Michael Benham, and they will complete the rostrum. The GTAM battle still to be concluded as we wait for the lead to cross the line and end the race, and Alexander Fraquina does hold on for GTAM honours from Antonio Coimbra. Check the final classification. So Dominic Mario Farnbacher take the win, 23 seconds clear of Thomas Biaggi and Giovanni Venturini. Mike Benham and Duncan Tappy third place, and they claim the Pro-Am class victory, with Sean Balfe and Rob Bell in fourth, and also the fast lap of the race going to Rob Bell, Miguel Ramos and Mikel Mack. Then Pier Giuseppe Perezzini and Marco Ciocci. Sini and Calamir in the Solaris Aston Martin, very solid seventh from Costa and Weiler in the second Lexus. Great drive early on from Michael Meadows. He and Jordan Witt rewarded with 15th, just behind Valentin Pierberg and Tom Onslow Cole. Disappointment for Hamaguchi and Liuzzi, a podium on the cards, but it all went wrong late on. Unfortunately, that car not re-emerging from the pits. And then even more disappointment for Antonio Felix da Costa, Matteo Marti, Motorsport BMW, who we lost early on. Checking the championship then, and it is the Farnbackers who lead the way, 3 points clear of Rob Bell and Sean Balfe, and they in turn have just a 2-point advantage over Thomas Biaggi and Giovanni Venturini, with Albert Costa and Philip Weiler also on 18 points. It sets us up for a wonderfully close season. Next round of the International GTOpen, of course, the 27th and 28th of May at the Spa-Francorchamps circuit. Always one of the highlights of the season. And again, bumper entry anticipated as Thomas Biaggi runs over to congratulate Giovanni Venturini. Huge grin from Biaggi as Mario Farnbacker to run his way into Parc Fermé. Dominic Farnbacker heading over to offer some congratulations. Two very happy drivers, two excellent races for the Lexus this weekend. Thumbs up all around, big grins. Likewise for Benham and Tappy. Solid third place, first podium of the season for them. For Garage 59, they've got both their cars on to the rostrum this weekend. This weekend, in terms of the race wins, has been all about Lexus. Very, very varied podium behind. Congratulations being proffered all around. Sean Balfe, Mike Benham, Rob Bell, likewise, they were runners-up in the Pro-Am class, so more trophies for them. As Mario Farnbacker eventually gets the chance to remove his helmet. We'll hear from our race winners in a few moments' time.
Mario and Dominic Farnbacher. Yesterday it was the other Lexus, now it's yours. Perfect race. How was it at the beginning, Dominic?
It was nice. The start was quite normal. I mean, Mr. Teppi was very, very nice, and I tried to follow him. His McLaren was doing very strong. I tried to follow him as good as I can and to save the tires for Mario. That was my strategy, and yeah, Mario did a very well job towards the end to keep the pace, and yeah. Two Lexus victories in one weekend is pretty good.
Yeah, it seems it's the right machine to have this year.
I hope so. I mean, we had a developing program the last 2 years with this car, and we had good progress, and finally we get some victories out of it, and it's pretty good, and it stays for the name Lexus.
Good, well done, and now podium in nice company, I guess.
In changeable conditions, it was Duncan Tappy who led away at the start of race 2, getting the jump on Dominic Farnbacker as they headed towards turn 1. Also well away was Michael Meadows. Somehow, They made it cleanly through the early stages, despite it being a little bit slippery and very tight. It's a race characterised by some fantastic dicing throughout the field as the likes of Michael Mack in the Spirit of Race Ferrari tried to carve up through the field. Nano Figueiredo presented pretty stiff opposition until eventually Mack was able to sneak past at turn 1. Post pit stops, Jordan Witt shut the door a little bit too late on Mauro Calamir, and that made life a lot easier for Albert Costa, and Rob Bell starts to try and move their way up through the field as Ivor Dunbar had a quick spin. Also charging was Fran Rueda en route to a top 10 finish. Front of the field though was the Farnbacher Racing Lexus that was well clear, with Venturini and Benham doing battle for second position. It's behind Marco Chiocci, side through up to an eventual 6th place finish, and Rob Bell in the Balfour Motorsport McLaren, a great drive, passing Miguel Ramos late on to claim 4th. This was the move that decided 2nd place, however. Venturini to the inside of Mike Benham. But out front, Dominic and Mario Farnbacher dominating the race, particularly the second half of it, and eventually the Farnbacher Racing Lexus winning by over 23 seconds from Venturini and Biaggi, second in the Imperiale Racing Lamborghini, with Mike Benham and Duncan Tappy third for Garage 59, claiming the Pro-Am class win. National anthems, and then on to the trophy presentation. So 3rd place for Benham and Tappy. The cheers of the Garage 59 mechanics. Runners up for Imperiale Racing, Thomas Biaggi and Giovanni Venturini. And for Farnbacher Racing, Dominic and Mario Farnbacher taking the win in the Lexus. 2nd race of the GTOpen season in Estoril. A trophy for the team to enjoy as well, much to the delight of the mechanics at the foot of the rostrum. So we'll next be in action on the 27th and 28th of May at Spa-Francorchamps, but the International GTOpen season off to a brilliant start this weekend in Estoril. 2 very closely fought races. As a result, a lot to celebrate on the podium and a lot to ponder and discuss as we head on towards Spa. When the bubbly fight is concluded, we'll turn our attention to the Pro-Am podium. Not surprisingly, Dominic Mario Farnbacher enjoying the moment. So in the Pro-Am class, it was Marco Chiocci and Pier Giuseppe Perezzini who were 3rd, from Rob Bell and Sean Balfe in 2nd, with Michael Benham and Duncan Tappy taking the class victory. So Perezzini and Chiocci on to the rostrum for AF Course. Bell and Balfe for Balfe Motorsport in the McLaren. And then Benham and Tappy, Pro-Am class winners for Garage 59. Some more silverware for Bell and Balfe. 2 excellent Pro-Am races this weekend. Pro-Am class victory, 3rd overall for Tappy and Benham. So they stand on the top step of the Estoril podium. So time once more for a little bit of bubbly, and Benham comfortably winning the race to uncork the bottle. And Chiocci coming a very distant 6th. So some very happy drivers celebrating in Estoril. And then we'll have a third and final podium for the GTOpen class, because we also had some great racing in that class, particularly Martin Conrad and Alexander Rauquina doing a great job to hold off Antonio Coimbra and Luis Silva's charge late on. Lots to smile about for Garage 59. Both their cars on the outright race podium this weekend. Well up in the Pro-Am classification as well. So Nono Figueiredo and Marcio Basso third, sporting new Mercedes in the GTOpen class from Luis Silva. Antonio Coimbra runners up, then Alexander Rauquina and Martin Conrad victorious in the MS Racing Mercedes. It's one of the beauties, of course, of the International GTOpen. Great racing throughout the field and very close battles in all classes. Just 0.4 of a second separating Rauquina from his class rivals at the checkered flag. So the 27th and 28th of May, the International GTOpen resumes in Spa. Until then, from Ben Evans in Estoril, it's goodbye.
Comunque Roma 1 Lazio 3.